As practices begin for college basketball teams around the country and specifically Kentucky basketball, we got some very detailed practice intel that was shared to on3.com and KSR Plus from the great Jack Pilgrim and the sources that he works with. But highly encourage anyone listening to this go subscribe, make sure you have access to this information and read it because there's a bunch of great stuff here. They go player by player through the entire Kentucky roster and sort of assess where we're at, both positively and in some forms. I don't want to say negatively, but some guys are further along than others. Some guys are taking some time. So very honest, great reporting here, and it all comes directly from people within the program. I think sources that have access to seeing this for their own eyes. So shout out to KSR and the entire team that put this intel together. However, I want to single out one specific player and read you an excerpt from this write-up because this got my attention in a big way. It was on Braden Hawthorne, the freshman, kind of a late bloomer. If you remember when he committed to Kentucky, his recruitment had really heated up late in the summer or in the spring. This was a kid that a couple schools were trying to swoop in on, but had been outside the top 100 and just sort of exploded onto the scene before quickly committing to Kentucky. Braden Hawthorne apparently has turned some heads in practice. Now there's question on what his role will be, but it speaks to both Kentucky's team depth and what Braden Hawthorne has done that this was a quote from KSR sources here on Braden Hawthorne. Quote, at any other school in America, he's a rotation player. He's just so long and a pretty good athlete. He's very developmental at this point. I understand he's not expecting to play, and I can see why, but he would play at like a Louisville, I would think. End quote. I'm a big Braden Hawthorne believer. The Pat Kelsey Mark Pope rivalry continues because this is a direct shot at what we think of Louisville's roster. But do you agree with this sentiment that Braden Hawthorne would play anywhere else in the country and certainly at a Louisville?
Braden Hawthorne, West Virginia guy. Big fan of his. Can't believe we let him get out the state, but neither here nor there. Big fan of his. What do you think their definition of play was within this? Like just get in the game?
I think rotation, like every game rotation player. Now, I want to just be clear quickly on this. I think this could happen at Kentucky. I know they're deep, but if Hawthorne's been like that gifted and just showing flashes, I don't think it's crazy to say he could get 5 minutes a game on this team. Now, it sounds like to the way this was reported, it sounds like that's not the expectation, right? The quote was, I understand he's not expecting to play. And Hawthorne himself has already said a bunch of stuff about like, I'm here for the long haul. You're never gonna have to worry about me leaving. So this kid seems bought in to BBN, the Kentucky experience, possibly even redshirting this year. However, I think he might be good enough to steal some bench minutes on the wing. And I guess I would buy the idea that if he was at any other program in the country, would he play? I think that's probably fair from my standpoint.
I think I agree. I think I want to provide a little pushback on the Louisville aspect of this. I do think he plays on Louisville, but like very sparingly. I do believe he plays more on Louisville than Kentucky, but I don't think he plays that much more. This team goes so deep at the guard position that they're gonna play a guard at the three. I don't think Braden Hawthorne's big enough to necessarily play the four, especially like figure wise at the moment. And I don't think he's beating out any of those rotational guard pieces. I think they're gonna play those four guards 1 through 3, and they're gonna combine to eat up 80-90% of the minutes. Now, after those four, yeah, I think Braden Hawthorne easily could be like the next guy up for Louisville, but I think I agree with it. I definitely think he could play on West Virginia. I know
Yeah.
that much.
I mean, to me, like the math on this, like 1 + 1 = 2, whatever. Braden Hawthorne, very talented top 100 recruit with size.
Yeah.
Kentucky, deepest team in the country. Add 6'8", kind of raw dude, top 100 recruit with size to deepest team in the country with a bunch of veterans. You may not have a rotation spot. We've been explicit about this. Kentucky's the deepest team in the country. They're not 2, they're not 3, they're the deepest team in the country. So in that sense, yeah, whoever their 12th guy is would probably be the 9th guy at minimum anywhere else. To me, that's Braden Hawthorne, and I buy it. The interesting part of this quote by far is, well, I would think he would play at Louisville. Like, are we just taking unprovoked additional shots at Louisville at this point? Because that's also a top 10 roster in the sport this year. Of all schools to use to make your point, did it have to be the Louisville Cardinals?
Yeah, like to me, Louisville falls like close to that Kentucky realm where like he wouldn't play, right? Like a Duke, but like you know, you could say like does he play at Bama? I think so. I
Definitely
think
plays at Bama. He also probably would play at Louisville, to be clear. Like, I mean, Javon Hadley is like their big jumbo wing stretch four type, and I think there's minutes available at that spot. Now he wouldn't play any minutes at the three at Louisville because they have the four best guards in the country who are going to play 120 minutes at the one, two, and three. So, but yeah, I don't know. I like, is this a sign of things to come with the Kentucky Louisville roster right now? Like any sort of moment where one side can take a shot at the other, like somebody privately from the program is really like, oh, this guy would start for Louisville.
I mean, if I was Louisville and Pat Kelsey, and we've done a lot of like, what would we do for Pat Kelsey after like Kentucky takes a shot? I would say, well, Michael Brown would be your best player.
Oh, I'm immediately coming out if I'm Kelsey being like, yeah, Adrian Woolley, our sixth man, he can't start here. He would start at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Isaac McNeely might be our sixth. He would start at Kentucky. What's that team? They say they need shooting. The offense is taking a little step back because they don't have enough shooting, huh? The Mark Pope offense, huh? Yeah, Braden Hawthorne would play for us though, but I don't know. It's just interesting. The point is true, but it should have been made without singling Louisville out to me, you know?
Agreed. I completely agree. These two teams are objectively more fun when they're both good, though. It also makes me think both teams are better. The fact that they have like I guess you call it like kind of like crosstown rivalry. We're talking about two teams that I think are two top 5 to 10 teams in the country. Because they're both good, I view them as like two of the top two teams in the country because of that rivalry aspect of it. I love it personally. I love Kelsey. I love Pope. I think both programs are building something special. And yeah, I mean, Braden Hawthorne could play at Louisville. I also think there's a world Adrian Ruley could be Kentucky's second or third best player.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't. It's just and it's fun, right? I think it's objectively wrong, but it's fun to single out Kentucky and Louisville. So maybe just a sign of things to come with the way this rivalry is going to operate this year.